Hello all. So today we'll see what is a bind method in JavaScript and how it is different from call and apply. Basically, the fundamental difference from call, apply and bind is the call and apply methods were immediately invoked in the same line of execution where the call and apply were written, right? But in case of bind, the method does not get immediately invoked. So you can see the bind method of function instance creates a new function. Okay, so basically this bind method returns another method. Okay, basically a copy of the method that is being provided. Okay, so whenever a method is returned from any different method, okay, so it will not execute it immediately. Instead we have to invoke it. So let's say if h is there, a variable, right, and we call some function, okay, and assume that this function returns a function. Okay, so basically h is now a function, but in order to invoke h we need to call it, right? Okay, now this is clear, right? Now let's make a method. Okay, let's say greet. Okay, and we'll greet the user by logging into console that okay, this dot name, right? That's fine. Sorry, this is a function. This is a function, right? Now this is fine. But what if we greet the user right away? Since this will be a window object in this case, so it will print undefined, right? There is no property name over here. Okay, that's fine. Now let's make object person, okay, which has a property name with the value of Rohit. Why not to go with my name? So now that we have a person, now person dot greet is not possible, right? Is not possible. It's not possible. Why? Because greet is not method of person object, right? If we'll run it, we'll get a method, we'll get an error that greet is not a function, right? I'm so sorry, I haven't saved it. So let's run it. So greet is not a function. Okay, then what should we do? So based on our previous videos on call and apply, we can do something like person. Okay, let's do in the same line. So person dot greet equals to greet that we have defined above. Okay, now after defining this, okay, after line number 11, whenever we'll call person dot greet, it will be executed, and now it is possible, right? Now we'll save it and we'll run it. See, it is possible, but here's the problem. Now that if we'll console log person, right, we have basically tampered with the original object, number one. Well, this is the issue when the person is allowed to get extended. Basically we are adding a new properties that is set to as extending or adding some properties to the object. Now what if you're not even allowed to do this? So there is a method prevent extensions. Okay, so if you'll go with the documentation, it says it's a static method that prevents the future extensions to the object. Okay, so let's do this. We'll prevent this person object from getting added any future values. Okay, so we'll for now let's comment the execution part. First, let's try to add and log the person object. Okay, I'll save it and I'll run it. You'll see there is no property as greet, as what is seen in the line number 13, right? Okay, then this line, if we'll uncomment it, is now again not possible. The reason being, greet is not present. There is nothing called as greet inside person. Okay, now got it. So in such scenarios, what could be the solution if you want to greet the user? Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's delete everything. Okay, now here bind comes into the rescue. Okay, we'll say greet person. Okay, and it has a, it will basically it will hold a method definition that will greet a person whenever it will be invoked. Okay, something like greet person and like this. It should say Rohit. Okay, let's also say hey Rohit. Okay, that's fine. Now it should be returned from this greet, and since this is a function, so greet.bind is its own method. Okay, now the first argument of bind is, if you'll see the documentation, it says the first argument, just like we have in call and apply, as this argument. Basically, as explained in earlier videos, this argument is basically the caller, or whatever we want as the caller of the method that is calling this bind method. Okay, so we want person to call greet method, and since the rest of the argument says whatever the argument that original method needs, our original method is greet, so whatever argument it needs, so at present it does not need any of the arguments. Okay, so let's go ahead with that. So there is a greet person method that is returned by this greet bind, and now let's try to call this. Sorry. Okay, yeah, it says hey Rohit. See, it's working, right? So this is how bind works. So bind returns something, a copy of function that can be called later, unlike what we have in call and apply that was invoked immediately, right? Now this is one of the use case that, okay, we got a function and we can call it later at any point of time. Okay, and we can call it multiple times also, and also we should check for the person object also. So let's print the person object and let's see. Yeah, see, it is intact, right? We are not even adding anything, or it is not getting added implicitly by the bind method. That's fine. So that is the one of the use case for bind method. The other, I'll clean this, and other use case is function currying. Okay, what that is? So let's say there is a function power. Okay, what it takes as base and exponent. Okay, and returns math dot power, and we'll pass the base and exponent. Okay, so basically base raised to the power of exponent, and let's call it power of 2, 3. Okay, and let's print it console.log. Fine, I'll save it and I'll run it. See, it's giving us 8, right? That's fine, right? 10, and it's yeah, it's working, right? Okay, now what if I'll say that we want 2 functions? Okay, one that says, okay, just give me any of the exponent and I'll give you the result of 2 raised to power whatever you'll give it to me. Okay, so basically we want some function power of 2. We are asked to implement power of 2 from power method. Okay, so what we can do is we can have power. Okay, now we'll use bind, because bind returns the method, whereas call and apply returns the result. So bind returns a method. Okay, now this, for bind method inside power, if you'll see, there is no use of this. So basically we can pass anything, undefined, null, anything. Now here is the interesting thing. The first argument, basically the comma separated arguments, are the arguments that is needed by the original method, that is power in our case. So first argument is that's needed by power is base. We want power of 2, that means our base is 2, and will not pass any of the further argument that is needed by power. So this will return a method and it will be stored in power of 2, which will contain a partial method of power, something like this. Okay, where our base is fixed as 2. Okay, let's try to run it out. Okay, we'll console log a power of 2 raised to 10. Okay, okay, raised to 10, save it and run it. Okay, it's giving 1024, and let's go with some other power as 4 and save it and run it. 16. Yeah, it's working, right? Now you see, we can pass as many arguments over here in the bind method itself in the same order that we want, and for rest of the parameters that will be required by the returned method. So power of 2 is a returned method from power's bind method. Now power of 2, the rest of the parameter that was needed was exponent, right? Because we haven't disclosed what is the exponent. So exponent will be required by power of 2, and if you will not pass exponent, basically it will be 2 raised to the power of undefined. Okay, let's try with 0. Okay, save it and run it. See, it's giving 1. So bind is also used for function currying. We have just carried out a partial function of which few of the arguments that it needs is defined, whereas the rest is undefined. Similarly, let's have a power of 3 function, power of 3. So what you'll do, we'll say power dot bind, and since it is not needed, we'll see we can pass null also. The result will still be same, and 3. So it will return what? Power of 3 and exponent. So we have fixed base as 3. Now if we'll call power of 3 with base 3, okay, what it returns? Let's see, 27. And what if we'll say 5? It's returning 243. Also notice, in case of call and apply, the line in which that apply or call is being invoked, right? After that, since we are getting results, so there is no point of talking this which I am talking, but it is done. And next time if you want to get the result, we'll again need to call the call or apply method. In case of bind, you will see that power of 2 is now a new method that can be used at any point of time and any number of time. So if we want to use it for like different number of exponents, we can just call it, save it and run it. See, and that's the beauty of bind method. So yeah, that's it for the bind method, and see you in the next video. Thank you.